With under a month to go until the next Asian Cup, it's time to start getting the videos. And of course, in today's video, we'll be ranking every single nation, contenders, favorites, dark horses, and group stage max. I'll be joined by Sammy, aka International Football Guru. Go check out his channel and go check out his Twitter. He's tweeting all stuff about international football, so go check him out. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and let's get into the video. So everybody, here is the tier list for the Asian Cup. This is not full predictions. This is sort of how we are gauging each team heading into the Asian Cup, which is now a month away, which is pretty crazy to say. And here are the tier lists. So we got favorites, contenders, dark horses, just one more, or Sammy likes to say knockout folder. It's just one more game they play after the group stage. And then here for vibes, it's just group stage max, teams that we don't think are really going to do anything at this Asian Cup. But Sammy, let us begin with Oman, a team that is a very interesting team in the sense that they can give a tough match. But for me, I don't think they can go far in this tournament. I wouldn't put them as dark horses. I would put them at just one more game. That's the maximum I see there.
Yeah, Oman is a team without many stars, actually without any stars, but they have a overall quality, high overall quality. But the team is the star. I was very high on them like 6-7 months ago. The end of the Gulf Cup, they struggled. They had some bad results and didn't play well at all. And also in the World Cup qualifiers, they lost one of the two games against Kyrgyzstan. Still, the potential, of course, to be a dark horse because they tend to show up in tournaments. They are in bad form, I would say, but I wouldn't write them off. So
I'll just put it just one more. I think the key for Oman is, and that's been evident, I think, for the last couple of years, they have to keep it low scoring. If they keep it low scoring, they can win games. If it's going to be a shootout, I don't see it happening. But, one thing is they have a manager who's been with them a long time, Ivan Kovic. That could be to their benefit, but I don't see a deep run for Oman. What about Malaysia, Sammy? It's a team on the rise. They had a wonderful international break last time, beating, obviously, Kyrgyzstan with that crazy game, 4-3. Then they obviously struggled against Chinese Taipei, but I think it's a team on the rise. Are they ready for dark horses? I don't think so, but I always say this about Malaysia. Keep an eye on Arif Aiman. The guy is an absolute baller. He's probably going to be one of the stars.
I want to mention also another player other than Arif Aiman, Faisal Halim. Faisal Halim is also very good. He has a good quick feet work, and he can also score and assist. The strength of this team is in attack, but they look very suspect defensively. And in tournament football is always safety first and have a solid defense. And because of that, I'm not sold on this team. So first Asian Cup in quite a long time. The last time they featured, they were hosts in 2007. For me, they are like group stage, here for the vibes. But they have an outside chance to surprise, maybe get to the round of 16.
I kind of see your point there because Malaysia, it's been a long time since they've qualified actually for an Asian Cup, not just through hosts. But I think they're a very exciting team, but they cannot be so naive in major tournament football. Like you made a good point, Sammy. They have to be defensively organized. What about for India then, Sammy? Is it also here for vibes, or are you putting them in just one more? Obviously, Stimac has done an amazing job in the last couple of years with the team. They're progressing well to where, India were kind of, obviously they won the last time in the Asia Cup. They beat Thailand, but didn't progress to the round of 16. I think they're better than last time around, but they're in a tough group. Can they get that one more game?
Group stage max, in the last months I had again a closer look at them, especially against Qatar, and that game defined it for me that they don't have enough actually to get to the knockout stage. They lost 3-0 to Qatar. It was a bad performance. Beat Kuwait on the road 1-0, but Kuwait is also a team that have been struggling for a long time.
They didn't even qualify for the Asian Cup.
Yeah, they didn't qualify, so I don't read too much into that result. It's for sure that they have improved, certainly their style of play. They can now play on the front foot. They can also create and just let's bunker and play on the break like they were at the last Asian Cup. But the problem is still not enough quality there, to challenge the likes of Australia and Uzbekistan. But they can certainly get something against Syria, but that alone won't be enough. So I think they're here for the vibes.
A lot of people would say, okay, look at the result against Kuwait. Well, we just told you, Kuwait are not the same team that they have been in the past, and they're in a very, very tough group. So, yes, I think their goal is to beat Syria and then, try and get something against Uzbekistan. Progress with Indian football. It's getting better and better, but it's still, the quality is, I think, far behind a lot of nations in Asia. I'm kind of like want to put them here, Sammy, Bahrain, dark horses, but also at the same time, I don't really trust their manager, Pizzi. Obviously, he is experienced in this Asian Cup, but the last time he was a manager in the Asian Cup, he got Saudi Arabia out in the round of 16. So that's not a good thing. And I think Bahrain are sort of similar to Oman, where they need to keep it low scoring. They don't have a lot of goal scorers. I just don't see how Bahrain are dark horses. I think they're the same as Oman.
No, I agree. I watched their game against the UAE when they lost 2-0. On the stat sheet, they dominated, but when you watch the game, I felt that the supporting cast was lacking. I didn't see enough creativity, enough drive from the midfield. They have some quality wingers and also a decent striker, but from the midfield there was not enough supply. And I think they are also in a transition period under Pizzi because he's been managing them only since a couple months. Previously they used to be more like also let's play it safe, or now they want to be a more proactive team, play possession-based style football, dominate.
I think it's just one more. I think when you have a new manager just coming in, I think that's going to be evident with another team that we're going to talk about. Is it's going to take time to get used to the style of football, and you're transitioning from being a defensive team to an attacking team. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to be success. It's going to take time and a lot more training sessions. But I think Bahrain, they can surprise, but I wouldn't say they're dark horses. When I'm thinking of dark horses, I'm thinking of semifinals, maybe from a team. I think it's the same thing for China. I think China, they can go into the just one more. I think they're an experienced team, but they don't really have the same quality or same quality manager compared to the last couple of Asian Cups. I mean, if you're still relying on Wu Lei, who's a very, very good player, and you saw that against Thailand in the World Cup qualifiers, he was a difference maker. That's a good thing, but I don't think it's enough for quarterfinal.
Team, they can make it out of the group, but I don't have much expectation on them for progressing deep in the tournament. At the end of the day, it's a lack of quality. China were for me more like a good teamwork team, but there's not much individual quality in the team. It's stale. They pass the ball well around, but they are not creative at all. And they rely maybe on opposition mistakes.
So similar to what it was against Thailand, where they just pounced on Thailand's mistakes and they got the victory.
Yes. Thailand had one misplaced pass and one turnover in their own half, and then they scored. This is China. They just punch you when you do mistakes, and then in that they are competent.
I think they're in the group of life, so that's going to help them a lot. Now, this team is going to go here, but they are definitely Indonesia. A team you don't want to play against because they are not a lot of experience. This is their first Asian Cup since obviously hosting it in 2007. It's a very, very young team. I think probably the average age will maybe be 24. It might be the youngest team at this Asian Cup, if I'm not mistaken. So you just see that, okay, they're just going to get a little taste of major tournament football, and it's going to help build for Indonesian football for the future. And yet again, they're in a very, very tough group. So this is going to be a good sort of benchmark to see where Indonesian football is. But for this, they're here for vibes, Sammy.
Yes, I was very high on them. Then last month we had the World Cup qualifiers, and they slightly disappointed me. They lost 5-1 to Iraq, and they drew Philippines away 1-1. I expected more. There's definitely talent on this side. They have also some dual nationals, increase or improve the level of this national team. But it's also the first tournament in quite a while for them. Potential for them to make it to the knockout stage if they beat Vietnam.
I definitely wouldn't write them off because I think they have shown, okay, Indonesia in the past have been sort of a bottom feeder team where you could destroy them. Now, you can't do that. That's why I was surprised as well when they went to Iraq, it was 5-1. But I think that kind of speaks more to Iraq, who are going to be the next team. And I'm going to put them right here, Sammy. I think they are definitely on the rise with Jesus Casas as their new manager. He's been there now for almost, I think, about a year, I want to say, or maybe a little bit less than a year. But the football they're playing, they went away to Vietnam and won 1-0. They got a late goal. I think they have a lot of different goal scorers. Very good manager. Obviously, former Spain assistant manager. You just see it. When you play good football and sustainable and the players enjoy it, I think that could work a lot in major tournament football. They have an identity. and I think Iraq. I think they're one of the contenders.
True, under their new Spanish manager Jesus Casas, they have changed the style. They play now for the first time in a long time a very proactive style. They press very high up the pitch. They are very aggressive. They have some dual nationals, many players actually who ply the trade in European leagues. Not for the highest profile, high profile clubs, but still it's very good level to have of players. Yeah, destroyed Indonesia basically, and then away. The result was close against Vietnam, but they totally outclassed or dominate Vietnam. Vietnam had not a single shot on target in that game. I was surprised you put them in contenders. I thought maybe dark horses, but I won't put a veto on this. We can go with this because I have also my personal. But what you have to remember is their path to go deep in the tournament is very difficult because they're in a group with Japan. And if they finish second in the group, they would probably face South Korea in the round of 16. It's just something to.
I'm not gonna look at the bracket. I'm just gonna close my eyes and I'm just gonna say Iraq or contenders. That's what I'm gonna do without even looking at bracket. But if that is the case, that's tough. Then I don't see it. But I'm gonna just put them in contenders. Now Thailand, they're gonna go straight here as well. I think you could probably agree. Good team, but now they have weird preparation because their manager resigned. Now they have a new manager. I think it's a Japanese manager. I couldn't remember his name. So the preparation is weird. He's only going to have one game of a friendly, and then it's the Asia Cup. Is that really the ideal preparation you want if you're Thailand? No. They have experience in this competition. They obviously made it to the round of 16 last time around. They have good individual players, and they play good football. But it's like the mistakes they made against China. You cannot make that in Asian Cup. You will be punished every single time.
The new manager is a Japanese who has been coaching in the Thai league some clubs, and Manu Pölking was the previous manager. They played some exciting football. They won back-to-back Southeast Asian championships on the right path, and but then they lost to China. It was surprising to me at home in World Cup qualifiers. As you said, they were naive. They made mistakes. Thailand, you can never trust them too much. There's always that dark horse tag, or because they have quality players. The Thai league is one of the best leagues in, let's say, in East Asia. Under Perking, they took a lot of risks. They played a back three, and that left them exposed against China.
So maybe Sammy, sorry, that they're going to be a bit more organized, maybe a bit more defensive and play on the counterattack. Maybe we see that in the Asian Cup.
I'm personally not familiar with the new coach and his tactics, so I can't say much on that.
I wonder where you're going to put this team, Sammy. I'll put them here for now. But Uzbekistan they're a scary team because the amount of goals they can score and the amount of goal scorers that they have, like Smordov, for example, who we know is going to be a very good player at this Asian Cup. The only problem I have with Uzbekistan is they concede way too many easy goals. They've always been behind. They were 1-0 behind Turkmenistan. I think they won 3-1. They were 2-0 behind Iran. They got back to 2-2. Okay, it's good you can keep doing these comebacks. It's not sustainable. And you definitely cannot do that in major tournament football, especially in a round of 16 quarterfinal. But the firepower they have and the football they play, I think Uzbekistan are a very, very dangerous team.
Something to know is that this news came in just yesterday. Eldor Shomurodov, their star striker, got injured, and he's basically ruled out for the next 4 weeks or so. He will still make the squad, but it's unlikely that he will get much game time actually. So I think with him, I would have put them contenders for sure. Without him, I'm not sure because he's really a talismanic striker for them. He scores on average in every other cap for them. I like this team. I think in general they're defensively very solid. It was maybe a one-off or so.
I don't know, Sammy. They conceded 3 to Mexico. They conceded 3 to the United States, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're that great defensively. I think they're bailed out by how good of attack they have.
You have to consider the quality of opposition. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, USA, Mexico. You can concede goals from these teams, but they have potential to make a semifinal run. They have also a good tournament bracket. So,
all right, next team, Hong Kong. They're here for vibes, straight up. I'm sorry, it's their first Asian Cup since 1968, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So this is their level. it's a great achievement for them making it this far. Maybe they can get a victory.
I have them down as the worst side of this tournament. I mean, the worst of all these 24 nations. I think defensively there are huge issues. They concede way too easily. Pass and you can rip apart their defense. That's what I saw.
And now the next team, it is Iran. So I think Iran are going to go here. Iran are an interesting one because I feel like now that they don't have like an experienced manager who's been in national team football for a long time, like at Kiros, for example, they have obviously like Iran have so much quality, like Osman, Taremi, Jahanbash, all these players. They're such good players when you're thinking of the level of Asian Cup. But it just seems like every time when there's expectations on Iran, they bottle it. Every single time. That's why they haven't won the Asian Cup since 1976. That's the last time. Do I expect them to make it to a semifinals? 100%. That's Iran. Do I see them winning it? I don't know. I don't think they have that edge still to get to the next level, like where they can compete against Japan.
They're my team basically. Yeah, I'm supporting them. The thing is also they are reliant on their star players Azmoun, Taremi, and in midfield, the midfield is a little bit a hole, a desert. There's not much quality in midfield. We have Saman Ghoddos. He's a key for our midfield. If he plays, if he's fit, he can control the tempo, the flow of the game. Against Uzbekistan in World Cup qualifiers, when he was on the pitch, we were leading 2-0, but then he had to get subbed out injured. And then the floodgates opened, Uzbekistan created chance on chance. Basically, what I want to say is that we have still quality, but it is not a very balanced team. There are some stars players in this team, but there's also quite a lot of average players. It's an aging squad. It's a very aging squad, and they don't have probably anymore the legs to keep up with quick teams. The defensive transition, midfield, not enough quality. So I think, contenders is Iran's place.
Let us move on. We got Jordan next. They're also here just for one more game. I think they've kind of prepared actually quite well, I think, for this Asian Cup. They've had a lot of tough friendlies recently. Obviously, they played Norway. They lost 6-0. I mean, their star player, of course, is Altamari, who's now at Montpellier, who's having a great season. So he's another player to watch out for at this Asian Cup. But yeah, I don't see much else for Jordan. I think it's around a 16 and max.
The defense is shaky, and if you press them or when they are susceptible to make mistakes, never can keep a clean sheet. And but they have quality in attack. Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think they should make it out of the group, but I don't see much more.
Kyrgyzstan, yeah. I can't lie to them. I think I'm going to put them here. I know they beat Oman in the last international break, but that 3-1 bottle job to Malaysia, I'm like, you cannot be doing that away. You got to be a little bit more smarter. Second appearance ever in the Asian Cup, obviously back-to-back appearances.
I watched also both their games in World Cup qualifying. That Oman win I put down basically as a fluke. They had match luck on their side in that game, and at home, they played in familiar surroundings, familiar climate. Also, Oman played badly, so I don't read too much into that result. That much quality in the team. It's simply like that. They rely more on teamwork. The last time they made it out of the group, they got to the round of 16. This time I perceive them weaker. And they had also a managerial change. The former Slovakia manager Stefan Tarkovic is coaching them. Under him, they have slightly improved because before he came in, they were just a train wreck, really. They were awful. They have an outside chance to make it to the knockout stage, but I'm not betting on them.
All right. Yeah, they're just going here, Sammy. I mean, I would be shocked if they don't win this competition. I think it would be one of the more shocking things in the last couple of Asian Cups if Japan, with the quality they got, with the players they got, the momentum they have, I'd be shocked if they don't win it. I mean, you got anything else to add? You're obviously wearing the Japan kit. For me, hands down, the favorites.
Yes, they are hands down. I mean, nobody will contest that. They are hands down the first favorites to win it. The quality speaks for itself. The players they have in attack, like Kubo, Mitoma, and all the others, Kamada, and it's just overall a very good squad. They are not much weak links in their starting 11 or in the squad. Since the World Cup, they play also now more proactive football, proactive style. At the World Cup, we saw them very defensively. We remember they won against Spain like only with 19% possession or so. So that has changed a bit, and they can also score now actually many goals, and
I
yeah,
mean, they scored 5 against Syria away, which was ridiculous
yeah.
performance.
Whether they actually win it is, of course, a different story. But because it's always like this, when a team is hyped up too much or
Yes.
too much, there's always the risk at some point something goes wrong or so. But I agree, they are first favorites.
I mean, do you agree with this with Lebanon? I think they've kind of regressed in the last couple of years, and just following them in World Cup qualifiers, and it's just like they can't score more than one goal. They're allergic to it, Sammy. They don't know what 2 goals is. They just know one. That's it. That's in the dictionary. I mean, they just drew away with Bangladesh, who I think are one of the worst teams in Asia. I mean, shout out to Bangladesh. They got an incredible goal in that game. But for Lebanon's perspective, okay, if they keep a low scoring, 1-1, 1-0, okay, they could progress out of the group. Do they have the toughest group? Not really, because it's quite, I would say, the group of life.
I don't see their 1-1 draw away against Bangladesh as that horrible of a result, because Bangladesh are not one of the worst teams in Asia. I mean, there are quite many teams worse than them. But
Yeah,
the point stays that it was a disappointing result. That is for sure. That is true. Have regressed. They have also changed the manager recently, and now they changed the manager again. So they are undergoing constant managerial changes and the lack of creativity. We have some good players up front, but from midfield there's no creativity. Usually they play through the wings, they cross the ball, or they shoot from long range. So it's not that great attacking play.
I think they're lucky they're in an easy group, Sammy. I'll be honest. They're very lucky. I mean, they cannot score more than 1 goal. But we'll see. We'll see if that changes. We'll see if that changes. Now, Palestine, obviously, I think they're going to go here as well. They're in a very tough group. I think they're going to be one of those third-ranked teams that doesn't progress. You know what's crazy? They've never won an Asian Cup game, and they've only scored 1 goal in the history of their Asian Cup appearances. So I think their goal is beat Hong Kong, and I think they can do it with everything that's going on in their country. I think just making it this competition and playing it, I think will be a massive achievement for them. And yeah, look, they gave a tough game to Australia last time in the World Cup qualifiers. It was only 1-0. They had opportunities to equalize in that game.
I'm surprised you put them in here for vibes. I have actually some expectation on them for this Asian Cup.
Okay. So should I put them here then?
At least.
Okay.
I didn't rate them up until the start of World Cup qualifiers, but last month I watched the games against Lebanon and against Australia. Against Lebanon, they were unlucky to not win. They had the better chances in that game. Against Australia, what was so impressive, they played them as equals. They had a fair share of possession, 45%. They outshot Australia, and Australia didn't sniff that much in that game. The XG was fairly even. I watched that game and was very impressed. I saw a very cohesive team, and every player was also decent on the ball. Not so much in terms of results, because they got only 1
But just
point.
performances.
I think they will play with a chip on the shoulder at this Asian Cup. We all know the political circumstances, and at the last Asian Cup, they were decent. They grabbed 2 points, but they couldn't make it out of the group. My expectation is they for sure get out of the group, and there's even a chance they go to the quarterfinals.
Wow.
I have my expectations have risen now. I mean, I think they can do something. They can steer things up.
If they could perform like they did against Australia, I wouldn't be shocked if they make it out of the group. All they need to do is just beat Hong Kong and beat them by a convincing margin. The next team, I can't lie, Sammy, I'm putting them here.
You know they are the hosts.
I know they're the hosts. Okay, we'll put them here. You know, Carlos Queiroz is gone. They have one of the managers that was managing in the Qatari league. Okay, they had a good performance against India, but now Carlos Queiroz is gone. So I don't really know how to understand with this team. I think honestly, Qatar, yes, they're the defending champions. They still have a lot of decent players. How they have regressed so far in 4 years, quarterfinal max. And that's maximum. I'm not even expecting them to make it to a semifinal.
Yes, under Kirosh, they were a team. Sometimes they played down to the level of a position, but sometimes they played also up to the level of a position. Very defensive. They beat Mexico at the Gold Cup, just one shot the whole game, but they won it. It's for sure that they have regressed. They are not anywhere close to their Asian Cup winning form. Reverted back to their usual selves. I mean, to what they used to be before the 2019 Asian Cup. They used to be like always a quarterfinal, top 10 Asian team, that threshold. They have the advantage to host the tournament, and if they win the group, they have also a doable bracket actually to the semis. So they rely on Akram Afif to do bits in offense, and their striker Almoez Ali, he's also not as good anymore as at the Asian Cup. Yeah, it's difficult to judge them because we don't know how they will look under the new manager. But they will for sure make it out of a group, and then we'll see.
I mean, Sammy, if they don't make it out of that group, then they might as well be banned by FIFA and AFC. Don't even dare qualify for the World Cup. If you can't make it out of that group as the host, be pretty embarrassing. Let us continue. Saudi Arabia. I don't know, Sammy. I would have put them as favorites, but under Mancini, it hasn't been that great. I'm gonna be honest. I know they've kind of like tested a lot of players to see, you know, okay, who can merge more into this team. He is experienced. He just won the Euros with Italy, of course. He knows how to handle tournament football. So I think that will play a big part. I don't know. There's something that just doesn't make me say like, oh yeah, they could be one of the favorites or they can make it to a semis.
You know, Saudi Arabia, we all remember them from their heroic win against Argentina at the World Cup. They are still kind of living off that moment, and the players are still kind of hangover from the World Cup, and they haven't reset.
That's a pretty long hangover, Sammy.
Yeah, they haven't fully reset. When they played with the starters in the friendlies, and I watched them, they looked awful. You know, they basically they lost left and right post World Cup. They had too many different teams: Mali, Venezuela, Bolivia, South Korea, and so on. In World Cup qualifiers, they started with 6 points, and interestingly, Mancini fielded the second string lineup against Jordan, and they won with that lineup away against Jordan. They defensively shaky. Mancini wants to play a very proactive style, press high up the pitch. The thing is, this needs still, of course, a little bit of time. To adjust to the style.
But do you think, Sammy, that because obviously it's Mancini and he's a very, very good manager, that he's okay, I want to test this thing, I want to test with these tactics, try and doing different tactics. But when it comes to the Asian Cup, we're going to play this way and only this way. And maybe the players already understand that.
Players, yeah, they don't get enough game time. Partially, you know, in their league, because we know the Saudi league, they purchase so many foreign stars with their own players, you know, of a Saudi national team. They are not featuring as much. I think for this Asian Cup, if they make it to a deep run, like a semi-final or so, they will take it. I mean, I don't see how they would win it or so.
Next team, I think before, maybe South Korea were contenders. Hey, maybe Jurgen Klinsmann is the guy, Sammy. Maybe we were all wrong. Maybe him just traveling around Europe, doing whatever he wants. They look good now. I know it's not the, you know, they played obviously China, and I think, I can't remember who they played at home, if I'm not mistaken.
Singapore,
thank you. It's not the toughest opponents, let's be honest here. But I do feel like this team are starting to kind of believe in Jurgen Klinsmann. Maybe they were a little bit, okay, is he really committed to us? The team they got, the ballers they have, Son is in form, Lin Kong-in, Kim Min-jae. They got so many players. I think they are second favorites. I mean, if we get a final, I know you're going to know the bracket. Is it possible to have a Japan-South Korea final?
Yes. If both top the group, they could face in the final.
Oh, we need that badly. We need that so bad because that final would be epic. But yeah, South Korea favorites. It was a little bit, like I said before, a little bit, not too sure. Now, confidence is high.
They have started to shift into a higher gear in the last 2-3 international windows. I saw progress. Klinsmann's tenures, he was also experimenting a lot. Son was not playing that much. And South Korea, they have, of course, their 3-4 star players. And then they have to make sure that the supporting cast, that everybody around these players, that they do the job, basically. I would say cohesion or chemistry wise, defensively it looks good. I mean, they sniffed China anything in that game. They were very dominant.
Very dominant performance.
Very dominant, yes. Reliant on individual quality. But it's for sure that they are second favorites. They have a lot of quality. What's important is they will take also this Asian Cup very seriously, because it's the first time in a long time that they They've come out publicly and said we want to win this Asian Cup.
What? Oh, we just need a Japan South Korea final. That would be so epic. That would be so epic. Syria, I think they're just here for one more game. They got an experienced manager in Hector Cooper, but other than that, obviously you got Omar Al Soma, very good striker experience. To Bahrain and Oman and Lebanon, low scoring, don't have a lot of goal scorers, even though they have Al Soma. But I think that's it for Syria. One more game.
They have regressed in the last years, and under Hector Cooper, he's a defensive manager, but even defensively, they don't look that great. Problems in defensive transition, they're slow to track back because they are also quite an aging team in midfield. They're aging players acquired some dual nationals, you could say. The other day I saw they acquired a striker who's playing in some of the South American leagues. So I'm not even sure they will get out of the group because they're in a very tough group with Australia and Uzbekistan.
That's true.
I don't favor them. Actually, I would have put them in here for vibes, but because I haven't seen anything from them lately to make me believe in them. I mean, even when they beat North Korea in World Cup qualifying, was very unconvincing, courtesy of a penalty, and the game was very even. It was basically a draw game. And
is it the same thing for Tajikistan? Their debut at the Asian Cup. I know you said you're quite high on them, Sammy. Not like saying quarterfinals or anything like that, but as a debutant, maybe they got nothing to lose. They have drastically improved, like you and me talked about in the private messages in the past decade. Like they used to be like one of the worst teams, and to see now they beating Pakistan away. They're in a good group in a sense where I think they can get out of it. So maybe they could be just one more.
I believe in them that much that we can put them just one more. Yeah, I think they are also quality-wise. If I look who we put in just one more tier, I think they are on that level. They drew Jordan 1-1. It was a fairly even game. They conceded the equalizer in the dying seconds. They have also a good coach, a German-Croatian coach, and he is tactically astute. The players of this national team, they play mostly for one of us in the same club. It's Istiklal FC, so a Tajikistani champion, and this club actually featured also in the Asian Champions League in the last couple of years. So very young team, but still they have already some caps under the belt for the national team, and they played in the Asian Champions League. So I think they can surprise even if it's their debut.
I think they're in a very favorable group for them, and I think when you're debutant, and we've kind of seen this in the past, World Cups, AFCONs, Asian Cups, you got nothing to lose, and I think that's their sort of mentality that they will have. They have nothing to lose. They're just there to play their football, and hopefully it works out. Vietnam, they're the same thing. They have regressed quite a lot, I think, since 2019 when they make it to the quarterfinals of the Asian Cup Iraq game at home. I was like, man, you're not even going to try and attack, try and play some football. They got dominated. I don't, like you said, I don't think they had a shot on target. Maybe they had like 2 shots. I kind of fear for Vietnam. They're in a tough group. They could even lose to Indonesia at this rate. I think they're still a lot better than Indonesia. I feel that same momentum compared to what they had in 2019, where I was like, okay, they could be like a quarterfinal round of 16, and they achieved it. This time I'm like, group stage round of 16, and that's about it. What do you think for Vietnam, Sammy?
Yeah, the momentum has been cut off. I mean, they changed their manager under the previous manager, Park Hang-seo. They played a very counter-attacking style, very dynamic style. And with that style, they had success in Southeast Asia, even to some extent in Asia. Now, under Philippe Troussier, they make now the transition to a possession-based style of team. And at the moment, it's not working because, quite frankly, we don't have the players for that. They don't have the quality for that. Yeah, I think the honeymoon period basically is over. The reality is that they are not that great as a team as some people maybe believed or hyped them. That Indonesia-Vietnam game is at best 50-50, 55% for Vietnam favorites.
I would still put it 60-40 for Vietnam. I don't think they've regressed that much, but Indonesia will give them a tough game. That is for sure. Now, that's the Southeast Asian derby, so that will be a fun matchup. Australia, they go straight to favorites. It's funny with Australia because everybody will look at them on paper and say, oh, they don't have that golden generation team of like Tim Cahill and those sort of guys, Mark Viduka. I think they're still a good team. Jackson Irvine is a quality midfielder. They got one of the best goalkeepers, Manny Ryan. They got obviously Harry Suter, a center back who's already he's going to be maybe their all-time goal scorer with the way he's scoring every game. So I think with Graham Arnold, he was under a bit of pressure. I wasn't really rating him a lot. I thought he was going to get sacked at one time when it was the World Cup qualifiers, obviously the last one, not this current one. But hey, they play as a unit, and that is always dangerous. I think they can make it to a final. Would I put them as the favorite? No, because I think Japan and South Korea are better just because quality-wise and momentum. But Australia, still a good team, Sammy.
Yes, I agree. They are one of the three favorites to win it. I think the main strength of this team is the defensive solidity and how they work as a team, how they defend. I can always sense that determination. They play always with a lot of determination, carried over the momentum from the World Cup. I mean, at the World Cup, they got out of the group surprisingly, and they pushed also Argentina quite hard in the round of 16. And they scheduled some good friendlies after the World Cup and against some decent or good nations. They tested themselves. I give them an outside chance to win this Asian Cup. Individually, not the greatest squad. I think I would put them, based on individual talent, I would put them maybe fourth in Asia. That chemistry or that cohesion, that play as a team makes them much better and very dangerous. So they could, on their day, win this Asian Cup. So and they have kept their manager Graham Arnold, and that's a good thing to have this consistency going.
And the last team is the UAE, and I'm putting them as dark horses because, look, maybe Paulo Bento has a chip on his shoulder, Sammy. Is there any possibility that South Korea and UAE can play against each other?
In the round of 16 or not quarters.
Okay, so maybe semis. Okay, so that could possibly be a semi-final matchup. And, you know, Paulo Bento, Ali Mahmoud, this guy's just a goal-scoring freak. Every game he scores. I wasn't so impressed by their World Cup qualifiers last time around, the last window. But I do see that there is signs that they are going to be a dangerous team, I think, at this Asian Cup. And the way UAE play football, Paulo Bento with his experience in Asian Cup and major tournaments, I think that's going to play a big factor. I would put them as more of a dark horse than Qatar. I think UAE are on the right trajectory.
Very high on them. You know, since Paulo Bento has taken over, they won actually every single game.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, they won only like 5-6 games, but they won every single. The most impressive one was the thrashing they gave to Costa Rica in a friendly, but it was not a B team.
Okay.
And the point is, they showed against Costa Rica, they played very, very flashy on the eye. They played on the transition, hit them on transition. Bahrain World Cup qualifying, they won also 2-0. They relented most of the possession, but they struck in moments, and they looked always dangerous when they came forward. And I believe in also in Paulo Bento as a manager. I like this team a lot. You know, I gave you your how do you say? With Iraq, I gave you basically a free. How do you call it? I mean, I would like to put them in contenders. Because all right,
we'll do it for you. We'll do it for you. Contenders, okay.
Yes, I want to put them there. I mean, with Iraq, I can see your point, and I would like to put them there. You know, World Cup qualifiers, that was before Paulo Bento came in. They were also pretty strong. They played the playoffs against Australia, lost only 2-1. Yep. And we all know Australia went on to have a
round of 16.
One. And I believe they have improved even, you know, because they have now a better manager. Team, I like Al Ghassani. He's a winger for them. Caio Canedo, a midfielder. They have handed out some Brazilians also citizenship, so they have some quality in the team. They've also the pedigree, you know. They made it several times to the semifinals of Asia Cup. They know this competition.
We're gonna have to see, Sammy. I mean, like, Paulo Bento's a very good manager, so I think that's good momentum for them. And Ali Mahmoud, when you got a player like that on form, it's always going to play a huge factor in this. But everybody, you see the tier list. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Where would you put Vietnam? Where would you put Iran? Where would you put Japan? I mean, if you don't put Japan in favorites, then I think you're smoking something crazy. Thank you all for watching. Remember to get your thoughts in the comments down below. Where would you rank Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Australia? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, during the Asian Cup, we're going to be doing match reactions, daily recap. So join me for that in the Asian Cup. And of course, the prediction video for the group stage is soon coming out. Have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. And until next time, adios.